Welcome to Ask a Catholic Therapist Anything. Today, our question is from Anne in Iowa. She says, "Hi, Amber. I feel like I'm drowning. My husband works late almost every night, and by the time he gets home, the kids are already in bed. I'm exhausted from managing the house, homework, meals, and bedtime on my own. I feel more like a single mom than a wife. I love him, but I'm starting to feel resentful, like I'm carrying this whole family by myself. I don't want this resentment to destroy our marriage, but I also don't know how much longer I can keep doing this. How do I handle these feelings and keep our marriage strong when his work schedule leaves me feeling so alone?" As the wife of a physician, I hear you. I have been there, especially in the early days of really late nights all the time. I want to validate that your exhaustion and your loneliness perhaps makes sense. When one spouse is consistently shouldering all of the evening childcare and household tasks, resentment is a common signal that your capacity has been exceeded, not a moral failure. I also think it's wonderful that you're recognizing these feelings and knowing that if you don't intervene, they could lead to some real distance in your marriage. So you're aware of your emotions, you see it coming, and you want to intervene. I love it. Prevention is often the best treatment. What if you aimed for two parallel goals? To reduce the load that's burning you out and to increase the sense of partnership and connection. We know that higher workloads predict later decrease in marital satisfaction in longitudinal data of newlyweds, which means that the work strain often spills over at home. These long hours in our economy might be a necessity, but acknowledging that a decrease in marital satisfaction is expected, it helps you not feel so alone or like there's something wrong with you and your husband. Many people feel the same way, and yet there are things you can do to help. We know that day-to-day work stress can lower one's own or a spouse's relationship. When the division of housework feels unfair and communication is low, couples report more conflict, and good communication buffers this. So we'll talk about how to do that in just a minute. The last thing I want you to know is that studies connecting perceptions of domestic labor fairness to marital satisfaction show that the subjective fairness matters as much as the hours worked. And we balance that with our Catholic lens, that marriage is mutual self-gift. Be subject to one another out of reverence for Christ. Mutuality includes sharing burdens and listening to real limits. Pope Francis noted that everyday tensions are places where love grows through patience and dialogue. Ordinary strain doesn't mean failure. It calls for practical charity. So here's some concrete steps that you could try this week. Maybe you could name the pattern, not just the person. In brief, using these, when this happens, I feel, and I need, filling in those statements. Here's an example. When evenings are just me doing dinner, homework, and bedtime, I feel overwhelmed and unseen, and I'd like for us, or I need for us, to problem solve a more sustainable routine. You can protect one anchor each night. Ask him to block in one evening of non-negotiable family time, if that's possible. Even one reliable anchor can lower resentment. It's really important that you're talking to your husband about how you feel without blaming him for your feelings. Chances are you're married to a great guy and he feels like he doesn't like the amount of hours that he's working either. So I think it can be overwhelming when someone's working very hard and then their spouse is saying that it's not enough emotionally. I know this isn't what you're saying. We have to be really careful that the way you share your thoughts and feelings isn't what he's hearing. And yet, it's still very important for you to be sharing how you're feeling. So you can let him know, I know you don't like this either. I just need to let you know how I'm feeling. Even when couples work long hours, there are ways that you can connect. And this connection can decrease the loneliness and resentment. This is where you'll have to get creative with your husband because every situation is different. Perhaps he could record himself reading a bedtime story to the kiddos and you could play that at night. Or maybe if he's available, you could FaceTime and he could take a couple of storybooks in his briefcase or backpack and he could go into a call room and read a story to the kids at night. But to have this kind of creativity, the front part of your brain's going to need to be online. That's the prefrontal cortex. And we don't have as much access to that whenever we're really angry or dysregulated. So that's why it's important to try to calm our nervous system. We also know that secure attachment to important loved ones and emotion regulation goes hand in hand. So I wonder if there were some ways that you and your husband could build in some meaningful, albeit short and yet predictable things that you can do together to strengthen your bond. You could also rebalance the load that you can't see. You could list the recurring tasks you carry after 4 p.m. and then decide together which can be transferred to him on his non-late night If you're overwhelmed with meal planning, then maybe he can help you on the weekends by cooking all the meat. It's amazing what having a fridge full of pre-cooked meat can do, how far that can go to meal prep. Or maybe he can help you together create the meals that you're going to make for the week. And who knows, maybe washing and cutting the vegetables and getting everything prepped becomes a really fun bonding time between the two of you. It's also important to find a 15-minute weekly check-in. As busy as life can be, I think most couples can find 15 minutes. And use these 3 questions. What worked last week? What felt heavy? And what's one change that would help? Research on couple interventions consistently find a structured connection and problem solving improve marital satisfaction. Preserve those micro connections. If late nights are unavailable, then get creative. Share 2 small touch points, maybe a midday text, one non-logistics thing, and a 5-minute prayer or debrief when he gets home. For some families who want a consistent family meal, whether the husband works late or kids have activities and sport, maybe they have a consistent family breakfast together before everybody goes their own way. Preserve those micro connections. They're super important. And mind your bandwidth. If you are regularly at your capacity, then choose one thing that you can outsource, even if it's just temporarily. So maybe that's grocery delivery or having someone help you clean or watch your kiddos so you can shower and actually blow dry your hair this time. One great place to find people is if you go to your church, because there's a lot of teens who are needing service hours or confirmation, and sometimes they can be helpful. Even these temporary things can help relieve pressure while you adjust. I would encourage you to stay out of the who does more. I do more at home. Well, I do this. I've just never seen those arguments go well. And I've seen them many times in my practice and admit to having some of them myself. It doesn't go well because it's very much like an apples and oranges conversation. When people are saying, I do this or I do this, who does more, they're in a place of scarcity. They're living below the line versus above the line. And that's really not what's important. I realized that in those conversations, I wasn't wanting to win or to have the most point, but for my struggle to be seen. You can do that in more effective ways. If you stay stuck in criticism and stonewalling cycles, and I'm certainly not saying you are, but I know that it can get there, then consider short-term couples-focused work on communication and workload fairness. Evidence-based couples intervention improve satisfaction and reduce stress. This doesn't necessarily mean you have to go to a therapist. There's some fantastic books out there, and we're also working on an online course that will be available within the next year or so. Until then, I'll put some great resources in the description. Safety first. If late hours are coupled with controlling behavior, verbal aggression, or financial secrecy, it's important to seek individual support and a safety plan. While you wait for the season to pass, you can ask the Holy Spirit for grace to speak truth with charity, pray 1 decade together at night, and keep one lifeline with you, whether that's walking with a friend, mom's group, a small group, or a book study, to avoid complete isolation. It's so easy to do, especially as a stay-at-home mom. Thanks so much for writing in. You are truly in a difficult season right now. I'll pray for you, and I'm sure everyone viewing this will too. You're not alone, and I hope that this has been helpful. Remember that if you have a question you'd like me to answer, you can fill out the form. There's a description in the link. I'll see you next time.